It's Liam Alexander Stewart with Inside the Ropes, and I'm back again with another fantastic interview for you today. You can see my guest over to my left. We are talking a bona fide WWE Hall of Famer, an icon of the tag team wrestling scene, a former Intercontinental Champion, a man who was part of the most iconic faction, in my mind, of all time in DX, and now one of the hosts of one of the best wrestling podcasts around, the Oh, You Didn't Know podcast. It's none other than the Road Dogg himself, Mr. Brian James. Brian, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you for that that great introduction. It humbles me. I barely understood a word of it, to be quite honest with you. So, no, I'm just kidding. No, great. Look, it was all great timing, right? And so all those accolades come from just being in the right place at the right time, just doing what I love to do and getting paid for it. Anyway, thank you for having me on, Liam. I appreciate it.
No, we're delighted to have you here. We're big fans of the podcast you guys do, and we big fans of everything over at Podcast T. And when they reached out, we knew we had to do this. I wasn't sure how much commitment to do to the Oh You Didn't Know. And before we get properly in an interview, I want to ask how many times have you heard fans and other wrestlers do an impression of that? Because it feels like it must be the most quoted thing in wrestling.
Yeah, the negative part is now I'm doing a lot of Comic Cons and wrestling conventions and the likes, and everybody wants me to write "Oh, you didn't know" before I sign my autograph, and it's like, oh my God, that's you're asking a little dog to remember how to spell. but yeah, no, it gets repeated quite often, and look, it was nothing that I came up with. It was around at that time. It was current. Socially, you know what I mean? People were saying, oh, you didn't know? Well, you better text somebody. You know what I mean? It was a big joke. And so I was just saying it to try to make somebody else laugh in the background, Brian Lee, the Underfaker. And sure enough, it worked. He laughed, but it also worked and fit well with the music. And so I thought, I'm going to try that again tomorrow night. And it just kind of hung on, and it did hang on, and it's out there. And believe me, everywhere I go, people want to hear it. And it's really weird when you're, at the delicatessen and somebody goes, "Oh, you didn't know." But it also makes me feel good,
Amazing. We mentioned that obviously part of DX and an icon of wrestling, and obviously collectively now Hall of Famers. I want to start by asking, what do you think was kind of the secret, the special sauce behind DX's meteoric rise? Because I think you had all the individual components there, but the level you guys were able to sort of reach is sort of incomparable to any faction I think we've seen since in wrestling.
Yeah, I actually, the truth be told, I think it was like tolerance on their behalf, on the office's behalf. They really let us do what we wanted to do and kind of not take it too far. Several times we did, and we were told about it and scolded about it, but they really let us go. So I guess leniency or just they trusted us to not take it too far, and we spoiled that trust several times.
You mentioned that leniency. Was there anything that they were very much shot down, like something you guys maybe pushed for on a few occasions? They were like, no, 100% not happening.
No, so no. Everything we wanted to do, we did. Everything, and look, a lot of the scenarios they wrote us into was Russo writing it, and the others, Pritchard at the time, and the writing team, of course, contributed. But writing us into scenarios, and then they would kind of let us act our way out of them. You know what I mean? And so we would know what the skit was about, or we would know who we're supposed to be talking about, the bullet points, and then they roll cameras, you know what I mean? And the rest is history. Look, you said you had individual talents and stuff. I think it was just, as the sum is greater than the individual. And I felt that way. I know Hunter kind of outgrew DX and became his own entity and his own brand within himself. And that's cool. But at that time, I felt like it was 4 young, hungry guys that wanted the ball, and Vince was giving it to us. You know what I mean? And so, look, it's timing. It's in the right place at the right time with the right people around you. And so, if I could take time in a bottle.
You mentioned sort of the Triple H eventually sort of outgrowing DX and things like that. In 2006, we saw DX sort of reunite in the form of just Shawn and Triple H, while yourself, Billy Gunn, were over in TNA as the James Gang at the time. Were there any sort of conversation at that point with the reunion of, hey, do you guys want to come back and do this? Or was it something that you guys were left out of? And if so, how did that make you guys feel at the time?
Yeah, no, we were left out of it at the time. And look, I don't doubt them a bit, or I don't fault them a bit. It's business. You know what I mean? It's business. And business, you have to move on. And if there's an entity that we have, a brand, a sub-brand that WWE, WWF at the time, whatever, had, utilize it to make money. That's business. You know what I mean? And I had been fired because I was a raving lunatic, you know what I mean? An alcoholic and a drug addict in active addiction. And Billy, I don't know what happened to him, but we were at TNA doing our thing and we were being BKM. Like, the last thing I would have done if I was them would be, oh, do you guys want to come back? but truth be told, they didn't ask us that. So I guess that was their mentality as well.
That's fair. That's fair. You mentioned VKM, the Voodoo King Mafia, kind of an iconic part of TNA history now. And, you guys were over there in TNA. Billy's now doing some great stuff with the Gun Club in AEW. As someone who's been in that position, both with the WWE as sort of backstage role and in ring, but also has been with a major competitor to the company, do you think that someone like AEW is a serious threat to the WWE? Or do you think at this point that WWE is so big that nobody's ever going to be able to sort of touch them in terms of as a wrestling company?
Well, look, that's a different strategy then, and look, in time, of course, AEW could become that big, but I mean, WWE did it in 40 years now. Yeah. So it doesn't happen overnight. And if it's really a competition in business rather than just like a ratings war or something, then does Tony Khan want to buy the WWE? And if so, then make an offer. But if not, it's just competition. And I believe competition creates creativity. I believe it breeds, competition. If you're competitive at all, you want to beat those guys. And so I think it's a good thing for the business. I think it's a great time to be a wrestling fan. And I say that a lot, and I'll continue to say it because I do. There's a lot of great options. If you want to watch wrestling, there's some out there for you to check out,
Definitely. And I think it's kind of the joys of this sort of internet era of wrestling where everything's accessible. There's no longer sort of the worry. And it came along with sort of DVR and things as well.
I also believe like the fans are into it more, into the competition more than the business people are. Now wait, I'm not talking about the boys and the girls in the locker room. I'm talking about the business executives of each company. I don't think they're the boys and girls are just wrestling, having fun, doing what they love doing, getting paid, and thankful there's another place to get paid at. You know what I mean? So I think the business folks are competitive and want to outdo, but I don't know that it trickles down that far. You know what I mean? I'm sure there's a couple of high ranking, the Bucks and Jericho, people who are high up that are in some of those conversations. Like I said, I think the fans are more. I don't want to use the word divisive because I think that's has a negative connotation, but they're more into the competition of the two companies than the actual wrestlers are.
Definitely. I totally agree. And, I mentioned there your sort of time backstage in the WWE and your role in NXT has been kind of talked about. And we saw a lot of love for you from a lot of the guys in the PC and the girls in the PC and NXT. I'm wondering, during your time in sort of the Performance Center in NXT, was there anyone that stood out to you as like, they're going to be huge, like they've got it?
Several of them. And look, one's the champion right now, Braun Breaker. And it's not because I love his family. It's because he's an incredible athlete and an incredible human being. And look, 9 times out of 10, and people say I'm a WWE apologist and whatever, but 9 times out of 10, Vince will ask you, hey, this kid's good, huh? Yes, sir. What kind of person is he? You know what I mean? And so that matters. And this kid is that. He's the total package, literally. There's another young lady, Nikita Lyons. I think she's got a ton of charisma. She can rap, dance, sing, work a little too. I think she's getting better at her in-ring work, which, that's why she's there and that's what she's doing. She's very young. I think she has a huge upside. She also has a huge backside. Oh! Hey! I couldn't help that, and I bought myself. I'm sorry.
I'm glad you said it because I didn't want to be the one to do it. It's
oh, look, that's not a bad thing. guys.
No.
I'm just it was just teed up. Anyway, those two talents. And look, there's some talent that haven't even been on TV yet that are like really beautiful women or really athletic and good looking guys that when they go through the process of coming up with a character and putting that character on television, there may be some standouts in there that we have yet to recognize, you know?
Definitely. There's been a lot of speculation from sort of your Dave Meltzers and people sort of like that the reason that you were released and the reason we've kind of seen Triple H taken aside, other than obviously the health condition, is that you were moved away from NXT as part of this sort of rebrand because you were quote unquote a Triple H guy. Do you think, having been in that, do you think that's true, or do you think that's just sort of, you know, classic sort of wrestling insider nonsense that's kind of gone about?
So look, it's in every conspiracy theory, there's a wrinkle of truth, right? So I don't think that's the case. I think what they did, and look, I think again, it's business. And so because I was on the business side of this business for the past 10 years, I look at it differently than I would have looked at it from the boys' perspective. But crap, where were we? Chair shots and bong resin. What were we talking about?
You were saying that you look at being released differently now.
I'm sorry. The business side of it, for sure. Look, the fact that they cut me and my brother and 13 others that day from NXT, from a business decision, man, you just saved us probably $5-10 million in a year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So from a business perspective, hey, we got to trim some fat down there. Now, if by trimming that fat, my name came into play because I was a Hunter guy, I can't speak to that. And I don't think that would be the case. I think it would be, hey, we got to get rid of a bunch of people. These are the people that are making the most money, to be quite honest with you. And that, I don't like saying that, but how do we trim the fat? And I was just so happened I was some of that fat, you know. Business decisions. Vince and I spoke after that via text, and everything's gravy. You know what I mean? I thanked him for the 10 years of life experience and 10 years worth of pay. You know what I mean? Now it's on to the next.
We mentioned Triple H, and as much as you are, as you said, a Hunter guy, I am a massive Triple H guy. He was my man sort of growing up. He was the reason I fell in love with wrestling. So before we move on to sort of our 20 questions, and then we talk a little bit about your podcast, I was wondering if you could share with us maybe one of your favorite Triple H stories from your time on the road together.
Yeah, look, I'm a huge Triple H fan too, because when I'll try to think of a story while I'm speaking, but I think what I'm going to say is kind of going to cover it. While I was at the worst part of my life, and I was trying to crawl back out of that hole, I wasn't completely out of the hole yet when he called me and said, "Hey, do you want to come back?" So he has looked out for me since day one. He always has, and I've always looked out for him as well. We've been friends for 30 years. He picked me up when I was down prior to that too. Like he would, you know, I was just one of the ones he would carry to the room. He would, so he's got a special place in my heart, and always will. Very pivotal time in my life when he was there for me. And look, several people were. Several. I retract that and immediately regret saying that. I'll say 4 people were there, and he was one of them. So that means the world to me. Look, he took care of me for a lot of years. And then me and him used to try to calm each other down because we wouldn't get our way creatively. And we'd go, "This is just phony baloney wrestling, man. It's just men wrestling, wrestling around in their underwear." You know, we would try to make light of it to remember, keep your feet on the ground, bro. So more than just a story about him doing something or me and him doing something. To me, the story is 30-year, 3-decade friendship. I've been with him longer than I've been with my wife. And that's the truth. Billy, Jeff, and Ron Killick's the same way. So just a special guy to me for a lot of reasons. Look, also, when I came back and inducted my father into the Hall of Fame, one of my favorite things. I'd been sober a year, and it was that Hell in the Cell match with him and Taker, and he had him in the Hell's Devil's Triangle or whatever the flip is called, and that sledgehammer was right there, and he was crawling for it with his hand, and man, I was on the edge of my seat, and I'm sitting in the top in a booth, or whatever, in a clubhouse, and I was marking out, and that's me knowing the dude for 20 years at the time and being in matches with him like that, but still to see them and to see that and to see it with clear eyes for the first time, it almost made me fall in love with wrestling again,
That's amazing. It's he's a special talent, and we all wish him the best in his ongoing recoveries here at ITR. So get well soon, Trips. Amen. But we're going to do our go-to sort of end of show segment. It's 20 questions. They're nice and easy, sort of just rapid fire. We won't probe you on any explanations. So first thing that comes into your head, and then we'll talk a little bit about.
Hey, you are opening Pandora's box. The first thing that pops in my head. I can tell you that much. You better have the sensors on friggin' standby.
If you could only listen to one song for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Cumbersome by 7 Mary 3.
What's your cheat meal?
Every. You've not seen a picture of me lately?
What, if any, is your favorite video game?
And don't like the city, but love the venue. Chicago. Chicago, Illinois is awesome. Believe it or not, Toronto is always great. I'll give you one more too, is the Tacoma Dome, because it's the place loudest pop I've ever heard for me and Billy. And it was in, 98 when things were hot, and Soundgarden, the group, was sitting in the front row, and man, it was a special moment. Excuse me. So it made the building special to me.
Love it. What would you be watching if you had a day of just sitting in and watching Netflix?
Probably Curse of Oak Island.
Nice.
I want to tell you why that.
Okay.
Exactly, no. Because when I wrote SmackDown before it moved to Friday night, when it first went live, Curse of Oak Island beat us every week in the ratings, and I mean beat us handily. And it was like our curse, our mortal enemy was the Curse of Oak Island. So after we stopped doing it on Tuesday nights, I started watching the Curse of Oak Island, and I figured out I love this friggin' show. No wonder I'm not watching wrestling either. So that was a funny story. I thought it wasn't.
Love it. Which movie have you seen the most?
Probably the Bourne movie, and all of them. I don't like the one with Jeremy Renner just because it's change, and I fear change. You know what I mean? But I love the Bournes. And look, at the first Rambo, when I was probably 13 years old, I saw that a bunch of times in theater. You know what I
mean? Which actor should play you in a movie about your life?
Oh, Kenny Powers.
Nice.
I don't know his real name.
Yeah. What's your secret talent?
My penis is really small. Sorry, I didn't know. Was that that work?
That works.
No, I can sing a little bit, but that's not a secret. So I don't know. I don't juggle.
Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
I have had it, and I don't hate it.
I think
I don't order it that way. I like a good pizza, but I have had it with ham and stuff on it, the Hawaiian style.
Yeah,
and I didn't hate it.
I think I'm the same. It's nothing I would ever order, but I think I'm a big enough guy. I think if you went, there's some pizza there, do you want it? And it was ham and pineapple.
Yeah,
I think I'm eating it.
Hey, I'll tell you what, I'd rather eat that than mushrooms.
Yeah,
that's weird for me. I don't like mushrooms on a pizza.
What's your favorite band?
Probably Pearl Jam if it was a band.
Nice.
It's just, again, pivotal time in my life when that album came out, whichever one it was. It was so awesome.
I'm going to see them.
But I have to say that again.
I'm going to see them and the Pixies live together at the end of next month.
Oh, are you really?
Very excited. Yeah, they're coming here to the UK.
I think they're great live. And the only reason I say that is because I like Earth, Wind, and Fire. I'm very eclectic musical guy. Like one song will be 94 Scarface, Rat-a-tat-tat. flow. And the next one will be like, oh, Jesus gave me water. You know what I mean? So it's my playlist is all over the place, man.
I love it. What 3 items would you take if you were stuck on a desert island?
Lots of moisturizer or lube. Either one. You call it what you want to. Yeah, man, that's a hard one. This is more like a Blue Chew commercial than a question. Yeah, it's hard, right? Because you can't take a cell phone because it's going to die.
That's it. We get such a range of answers because you get people that go very sort of pragmatic. Oh, I'd take a helicopter, a pilot, and some food. And then I think
no, that's not. I feel like that's not allowed.
Yeah, and then
getting dumped on this thing. You got 3 things.
I can't remember what the rest of his was, but the last one of Charlie Hass's was the hottest WWE diva. That was the last one of Charlie Hass's.
I'm going to be perfectly honest. 3 things. Well, one of them is all my grandkids.
That's fine. We'll allow that.
Have them, and I'll take my wife too, and then that lube we talked about. Wait, what? My wife's coming
for your wife, yeah. If you weren't a wrestler, what would you be?
Homeless.
Fair. I like it. What wrestling match have you rewatched the most?
Probably In Your House 95 Intercontinental Championship match between Shawn and Jeff and me on the outside as the roadie. And the only reason I say that is because I've seen it a lot lately. We actually, it was the 25th anniversary of it. Not I don't know when that was, to tell you the truth. I guess in 20 or something. Anyway, we all sat down and watched it together and did like a watch along.
Nice.
And so that one I've seen a great many times, and I don't mind watching it again because it's a great friggin' match.
What's your pre-match ritual?
Just like walking around and thinking about what's about to happen. And then right before I go out, looking at Billy and going, I don't have a clue what we're about to do. And he goes, get the flip out there. And he pushes me out. But it really was like, I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't know what I'm sitting there. I just pace back and forth, and I'll stretch and stuff too. But dang it, I don't know if I stretch now, something might pop.
Who was the biggest locker room prankster in the WWE?
Owen Hart.
What a legend.
Yeah. No, not even a close second. Davey Boy would be second, but he's not close to Owen because Davey Boy would crack. Davey Boy would break and laugh, and Owen could just play. He had a great poker face.
What's your most annoying habit?
Oh man, I got OCD bad, so I just do everything. I'm just on top of everything. Like I nag my wife probably too much about, hey, do I have money on my credit card? Hey, do I have? She's like, I told you. But yeah, so I don't know. I'm probably just overstimulated, maybe. Boot you again.
Who was your wrestling idol growing up?
Brad Armstrong.
Nice. Who would your guest be at your dream dinner party?
Probably Jesus Christ.
I feel like that's a smart pick.
I see what I want to see what all the fuss is about, and I want to ask him a few questions. And if I live right and do the right things when I die, maybe I'll get that opportunity.
I like it.
I don't know.
I like it. Who's your all-time dream opponent? If you could, looking back at your career, if you could have wrestled anyone.
I never got to wrestle Brad, and I know that's it's almost like a crutch answer for me, but it's the truth too. Second would be Kurt Hennig.
I like it.
Or Barry Windham.
Nice.
All three, like I want to work the guys that can work. Yeah. I want to work the guys that know what's going on. I want to work the guys that are wrestlers. You know what I mean? And those 3 I just named, including Bobby Eaton, but I've worked with him, and it was a dream come true. Those 3, that would be awesome.
I love it. What's your guilty pleasure?
Watching ingrown toenails be removed on Instagram.
Hey, my fiance is the exact same. That and pimple popping.
Yeah. I do that too.
Stronger stomach than I do.
That's like, I don't know why.
And the penultimate question: what's the weirdest fan request you've ever had?
Well, I mean, I don't want to go too dirty because there's been some, but that was pre-sobriety. You get the mom holding their child saying, "Will you sign my boobs?" You know what I mean? Stuff like that. It's just like, come on, man, what are we doing here? I'll just give you a picture. And then 5 minutes later, you see me with my readers on.
And finally, to wrap things up, if someone was stepping into a wrestling school for the first time today, what would be your go-to piece of advice for them?
And I would, regular cardio, the best cardio you can get in. And I know this is two things, but the other thing is just tuck your chin. Remember to tuck your chin, because if your head bounces off that ring, you're going to have a concussion. So do not let your head hang loose. When you take those back bumps, tuck your chin and tuck it tight. So cardio and tuck your chin.
I love it. Right, before we let you go, and it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you. I've had a great time, and I've loved some of those answers to the 20 questions. I've had to retain the laughter because I don't want to peak the mic too much. But we mentioned the Oh You Didn't Know podcast. Tell us a little bit about that and what the listeners and the readers can expect, and where can they check it out?
Yeah. So you can find it anywhere you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, but it's under the umbrella of Podcast Heat. So I've got some really good colleagues gathered around me. One of those colleagues is Ryan Katz. Ryan Katz is my co-host. He actually is the host, and I'm kind of the guest because I don't know what's going on, and he keeps me on track. But what a lot of people don't know about Ryan is Ryan was the first hire for FCW, which was Florida Championship Wrestling, which was pre-NXT. And he worked directly under Dusty Rhodes for every until Dusty passed away, and so then he worked under me on Team Dogg, we called it, which was the character development team. And so we both got released on that fateful day. But he was the first person I thought of when they said, "Hey, you want to do a podcast?" And I was like, "Yeah, can I pick my host?" Because look, he's a funny guy, but he's also so smart, man. He wears so many hats. So anyway, I love Ryan to death. You check us out. I think you'll find it a little different than any other wrestling podcast. Yes, we talk about wrestling for the most part. Right now, we're just talking about my career, from 94 or 93 on. But we are going to get into having guests and stuff. I just think we have a really cool dynamic. I think we're really entertaining. I think it's very lighthearted. You hear from me and my honest stuff like you've heard today. I'm not going to hold back. I'm going to say what I feel. And if you get offended, I apologize. But if you don't, tune in, because I think it'll make you laugh and you'll learn some stuff at the same time. Maybe not just about wrestling, maybe about life too.